Okay, we are recording. Hello, everyone. My name is Marisa Robledo. I serve as the director in the Center for Student Involvement, and we are so excited to host our first ever our first ever event coordinators club town hall meeting. Today's event slash workshop is specifically for our event coordinators to learn the tips and tricks about programming here on campus. We have a lot of special friends with us in the room today to talk about what the process is to plan events on campus. That being said, I'm going to pass the mic over to Tara.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tara Graham. I'm the Director of University Events here on campus. It's so nice to see all of your faces and see some good representation from our different student clubs. Yeah, I have a PowerPoint to share with y'all, but I'll get going. All right, can you all see the PowerPoint? Well, okay, lovely, lovely. Well, welcome all. Today we're going to be using Slido for some fun polls throughout the meeting today. So if anyone wants to join via Slido, we're a small group today too. So if you all also want to drop answers in the chat, you're welcome to do so instead of using Slido, just since there's so few of us. But yeah, so wanted to just take a moment to introduce y'all to our team today. So we are part of University Events. Our team is a robust team of what there are. How many of us now? Don't even remember. Our team is growing by the day, which is exciting. We have a robust team, though, of event schedulers, coordinators, and operations folks on our team who really are here to support you from beginning to end event support. So like I said, we control majority of spaces on campus here. So we are control, meaning we are the ones who schedule them, oversee the events that happen in them, and whatnot. And this is the team that does it, some of whom are here on the call today as well. So shout out to all of you joining us today. You're able to meet the faces behind the team as well. So yeah, so this is the makeup of our team. We have recently joined the University Advancement Division, so our team has grown. For those of you who have worked with us in the past, we used to be working with a smaller team. Now we have combined forces to be one big, stronger team, which is amazing, and we're very excited about it and all of the support that comes with that. Oh, hello. So yeah, so who we are. Mainly, we are here to be your partner in event planning. So we want to be a resource that you are able to come to for advice about any event planning that you might have here on campus. We are able to help you figure out what event space might work best for your needs. Before you book a space, we're happy to talk through options with you. You're able to see a lot of the options on the EMS web app, but we are also here as a resource to talk through any questions that you might have about that process. We can help advise on best planning or event planning best practices. If you're newer to event planning, our team has a combined so many years of experience with event planning. We've had folks who've been working on events for a long time. We're happy to use that expertise. I've been here at Seattle University personally for 9 years. But before that, I was in event coordination elsewhere for venues, and many folks on our team are in that same boat as well. So we have lots of varied experiences to help you with whatever your vision might be for your event. As many of you may have seen, this is what some of this photo on the screen is what many of our event diagrams look like. So we help build the whole layout for your event based on what it is you need to do. It's a common banquet setup in Student Center 160 for anyone who might recognize it. But we'll help arrange for any tech needs that you might have for your event. We work directly with our IT department to arrange for microphones, speakers, projectors, screens, webcams, all of that good stuff. And we also are the ones who do, our operations team does the actual setup of all of the event spaces on campus as well. So all of the tables, chairs, easels, sandwich boards, stages, pipe and drape, all of that good stuff. So really, we are full service event support from beginning to end. So our first Slido questions. So feel free to do this on Slido. Feel free to drop it in the chat, however works best for you. But so just out of curiosity, yeah, how many spaces do folks think we oversee on campus? 100 good guesses. Mhm. Liking the guesses. Okay, so yeah, so ding ding ding, whoever put 85 out there is closest to what we have. Marina, is that you? Yeah. um, so yes, so 85 is right around what we have. So and that's a combination, like I said, of event, classroom, and conference room spaces on campus. So that's what we oversee. There are spaces on campus that we do not oversee, like we don't oversee spaces within the law school. And there are, of course, lots of like internal conference rooms within folks' offices that we, of course, don't oversee. But these are the spaces that are publicly available to everyone on campus, at least. So we have a lot of space here on campus, and yet at the same time, it doesn't necessarily feel like that all the time. For those of you who may have tried booking events on campus before and found that there was not much available. Um, so I want to run through a little bit today to what we have. When we say we have these event spaces available for you to use, what does that mean exactly? What are we able to provide you with? So I've done just a kind of basic list of some of the equipment that we have for free. So for those of you who don't know, I know every university runs events a little bit differently. On our campus, event space is free to use to students, faculty, and staff for university purposes. So for anything that's a club activity or an event specifically for the university, that's the rental space is free, and any equipment that we have in house is free for folks to use. So we have your basic tables, chairs, easels, sandwich boards, stanchions, etc. We have a pretty robust inventory of things, of at least basic equipment. We have some 10 by 10 tents that I'm sure you all have seen set out on the library plaza and the quad. We have basic in-house tech, microphones, speakers, etc. We have a couple of stages for our two larger event spaces on campus, Campion Ballroom and Student Center 160. So these are all things that you're able to, when you're working with an event coordinator on our team, that you're able to request for whatever it is that you might need for the event. I also did want to highlight too, some of the things that are less commonly, or things that we don't have in-house, but that are common requests that we get often from students, faculty, and staff, just so that you know some of the common things that we don't actually have in-house. So if you're ever trying to plan an event that needs these things, we'll need to look at rentals, and you'll want to be prepared with a budget to cover any rentals. So commonly things like lighting trees, dance floors, disco lights, any concert level sound equipment. We have, like I said, basic sound equipment in house, but nothing like backline equipment, amps, etc. Those are all things that need to be rented out. And while we do many events outdoors that often have robust setups, most of the time too, I just want to highlight that most of those large outdoor events are using rented equipment. So our Equipment that is available for outdoor events is limited. So if you're ever interested in a large outdoor event, make sure you reach out to us well in advance so that we can let you know what it is we would have available for an event like that and what we would need to rent and what the costs were for. Um, so when you're working with our team, of course, one of the big things we stress all the time is timelines for planning your event. So and every event is a little bit different, right? Some events are you're planning a really small um, event for maybe just your club, or sometimes you're trying to plan a much larger event for the entire campus community. Every event is going to take a little bit of a different planning timeline. So I've put together a recommended event planning timeline for you all. I'm not going to go through this step by step here. You all will be provided with this PowerPoint afterwards, so you can use it as a reference. But we've highlighted some things that you want to be thinking about on these timelines, starting as far as 90 days out. So as I mentioned earlier, our event space on campus, although we have 80 plus event spaces on campus, which include classrooms and conference rooms, which, can work in a pinch maybe as an event space, but aren't necessarily the first choice. For our actual big event spaces on campus, they are quite limited. So if you want to be planning an event that has a special setup, you really want to be looking starting as far as 90 days out at least. If you have a specific event space in mind, and especially a target number of attendees, especially if you want more than 30 attendees, recommend the earlier you can look out at what is available, the better. So I have it broken down into kind of your farther out vision planning up until 30 days out here, which is where things really start heating up at the 30-day mark, 30 days away from your event. And I've broken it down then into the crunch time, which is the 15 days up until the day before your event. Things to be considering. This list is not, everything that you need to consider by any means, but some of the most common things that we see with our events and recommended timelines for y'all to help get y'all organized and to work as a little bit of a checklist of things to be gathering before your event. Something I do want to highlight from the crunch time period, I'm actually going to hop around a little bit on my own slides, is a few important deadlines, especially within that crunch time, which is the 15 days out to leading up to your event time. So some important deadlines you need to know when you're working with an event coordinator on our team is that 15 business days is the absolute minimum amount of days to book an event space that requires event coordination from our team. So any flexible event space on campus, which is going to be your Campion Ballroom, Student Center 160, Alberto Commons, anything that has a flexible setup, that you need to book a minimum of 15 business days ahead of time with our team, because we have so many events happening on campus. Our event coordinators need at least 15 business days to help coordinate an event for you. So, and I will say 15 business days, while it is the minimum, is not recommended for a large event. 15 business days will work fine for a smaller event or meeting, but anything larger, definitely be leaning more toward that 60 to 90 day timeline, just to make sure you've gotten a space reserved and that you have enough time to go through the full scope of event planning for an event. If you do ever need a meeting space on a shorter notice than 15 business days and you don't need any setup from us, say a classroom will work for you or even a large conference room, those can be booked anytime. They can be booked 5 minutes ahead of time if the room is available, but that's always the catch, is it available, which is not necessarily always the case. So that is an option for you though if you do ever need a short notice space. So yeah, Hope, I see you've got a question.
Yeah, so I was event coordinator as well last year, and forgive me for you're going to cover this later, but I remember there was like a certain portal that we needed to use to book rooms in advance.
Yes.
Do we need to use that portal to book big spaces like the camping ballroom, or how do we get into contact with you guys? Also, like, what is that portal?
Yes, I have that coming up in a few slides. So yes, that
Okay.
is our
Okay, wonderful.
EMS web
Thank
app.
you.
Yes, of course. Yeah, you are totally correct. That is our EMS web app that all of our bookings go through. Um, yes, Marisa just attached the link to it in the chat, and I'll go through also a little bit about the EMS web as well. So, um,
There
okay, so
is
yeah.
there
Oh,
is a
sorry.
question in the chat about tech rehearsal. If we need a tech rehearsal, preferably before the day of the event, but are only allowed the day of for setup, is there an opportunity to do a separate day before tech like rehearsal?
So it totally depends upon the event and the booking. So this is a recommended timeline depending on the size of your event. Often really big tech rehearsals, we will say a day before if you're planning a really big event. Especially for some of like our legacy events that we have, or just I mean really any big event though. Those sometimes benefit from a tech rehearsal the day before. But most of our events can be, a tech run through day of is what we will schedule for student, faculty, and staff events. That will sometimes do, 30 minutes prior to the start of an event, an hour, maybe even 2 hours, depending on the arrangements. So this is not a necessity. It's just an if you need to do it the day before. I will say our event spaces are heavily booked, so getting a tech rehearsal the day before is uncommon, but it is good if you're ever thinking about those bigger events at least. So day of is going to be much more common for most of the events for just doing a run through testing PowerPoint, testing microphones, making sure your speakers feel comfortable. So yeah, Linnea, see your hand.
So I know we already booked the camping ballroom for our event specifically, but I do also know that it wasn't an option for us to book the day before, because we weren't a legacy event. Is that still an opportunity just because we have so much to set up because it's such a large space, or would we be forced to do it the day of?
Let's maybe take some time at the end of the meeting, Linnea. I can take a look into your event circumstance a little bit more. I will say for the most part, for most events, we do limit folks to the day of unless it is a specifically really large tech setup. But if there is specifically like extensive decorations that y'all plan to do, sometimes we will work with folks on if there is a lot of setup that needs to go into that, depending on what the schedule looks like. So yeah, so let's take some time after the meeting and I can look into your circumstance in particular. Cool. All right, great. So yeah, and uh, just continuing on with the deadlines there then too that are important to note. 10 business days out is when we need all final technology requests in. So we need to get all of our tech requests to IT to be able to do their own scheduling of the event, the wonderful event tech folks who support all of our events. They're the ones who provide all of the microphones, speakers, projector support, monitoring for your events, tech meets to help run through all of the equipment with you. And just like us needing to create our own schedule, they need to create their own. So we need everything finalized at least 10 business days in advance for tech requests. And then 5 business days in advance is when you should have all final event arrangements into your event coordinator in university events. So that is when diagrams should be finalized, tech requests should be finalized, everything should be good to go. And then past that point from the 5-day to the day of, that's when we can of course help you troubleshoot any, last minute, like I had no idea this could have come up as a thing. So that's what those 5 days leading up to the event are meant for, of like the unexpected things that no one could have ever seen coming. But really, be planning your events in a way that allow you to five full business days in advance be just like done, so you can breathe and focus on gathering all of your own event supplies, gathering your decorations, all of that good stuff, so that all of the things you need to get into us are there. And that means that will set you up for the best success and our teams up for success for making sure everything gets set up exactly the way you want it set up for your event. And all of this planning that goes into every single event leads you to the big event day. What you can expect day of, generally, this was for, I would say, 90% of our events. This is how a typical event day goes. Again, for some of those bigger events, sometimes additional arrangements will be made or for getting into a space a bit sooner, but for most events, the event space is ready to go and set up 60 minutes ahead of time, the actual start time of your event. Catering will arrive somewhere between 30 to 60 minutes prior to the event start time to get everything set up that they need. We'll do speaker prep, you'll do speaker prep and any mic checks with our AV teams. You'll test your PowerPoint and any videos that you might want to show. Highly recommend arriving to your event space at least 30 minutes prior to your event start time to be able to test everything to make sure you are ready to go by the time your attendees start arriving. You'll have that 60-minute window to set up any decor that you might have for your event. Setting out signage that day, we are able to set out sandwich boards for you across campus. If you get big 24 by 36 signs printed to go on sandwich boards, we also have little reader boards that just take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper as well. We have a few of those if you get signage printed that we can set out as well for you. We just need to receive any signs in advance, and then we will put them out on campus that day. So we only do day of event signage, I will say with that. So we don't do event signage to advertise events, like weeks leading up to the event, but those sandwich boards and those reader boards can be used for like directional signage day of, or to just, have right outside of Campion or right outside of Student Center saying like, hey, like event here for you that day. And then, so, you get through your whole event. And I think one of the things we really want to stress is whatever you bring into the event, pack it in, pack it out. So whatever you bring in, make sure you bring everything with you, or anything you want to throw away, makes it into garbages that are provided in the event space. If you think you're going to need additional trash cans, I know especially for a lot of events with extensive decor, we work with custodial to make sure you have plenty more trash cans available for your decorations at the end of the event, or whatever other things that you might have. So just make sure that is factored into your event time. Every time you plan an event is the cleanup process, just making sure you get everything out of there. So, all right. So another Slido time. So we've talked about, all of these deadlines and what to expect. How many events do you think we as a UE team coordinate on a yearly basis? All right. I just realized I did this really confusingly, and I think I really messed up my greater than or less than signs. I'm a terrible math student. This is why I went into event planning and I did not major in math. So yes, for all of you who selected that it is greater than 1,000, you are absolutely correct. In that we coordinate on average on a yearly basis over actually 3,000 events. So there are a ton of things going on campus. We have so many things happening on a weekly basis, which is also why when we talk about these deadlines and why throughout the event planning process, you will hear your event coordinator stressing deadlines that are coming up. And really, it's because we have so many things to coordinate on a yearly basis that we really need to stick to those. So we work with so many teams across campus that need information just like we do. So, and to set you all up for success, to ensure your event goes really smoothly, will emphasize these deadlines a lot to make sure we're all staying on track and that everything that you need for your event can be provided. So we are always busy here on our team. I always say there is really no slow time except for maybe the week leading up to Christmas on a yearly basis when half the university is gone. So we stay busy year round, but we also love it. So and also to just emphasize how much we have going on. This was a clip that our operations team shared with us the other day of how many. This was just one day of service orders that we have. These are all of the various sets across campus on one day. So every day is a new fun adventure. Every day is different for us. But with this much to coordinate, this is again why you'll hear us still emphasizing those deadlines to ensure everything is running smoothly. All right, a few helpful tips for working with our team. If I have not stressed it enough already, start planning early, start planning early, start planning early. Like I said, event space is limited, so the sooner you can start planning with your club, the better. Highly recommend designating 1 to 2 event planners from your team to work with your university event coordinator. It gets really murky when you start having 5 to 10 people who are reaching out to one coordinator, sometimes giving conflicting information. So highly recommend you structure your event planning in a way where communication can flow through 1 to 2 people, also so that it keeps you all organized as well and keeps you all on the same page. So, but it allows us to know, like, we know that so-and-so and so-and-so are the main contacts and we should be trusting what they say is needed for an event. So timely communication with your university event coordinator is super key. Often we need the information quickly to be able to coordinate with other teams across campus if they have questions, asking as we start asking you about your different requirements for your event, of any equipment, if any rentals are needed, especially. Really important to communicate clearly and quickly with your event coordinator, especially because rentals do take a while to coordinate. And again, we're working with outside vendors then who they need information on a certain timeline. So as you're working with our team on an event, make sure you're just keeping an eye out on your email and that you're responding within a timely fashion to your event coordinator. Highly recommend always having table coverings for any events with food and crafts that include any paint, glue, or mess of any kind. I know we see a lot of amazing craft events on a yearly basis, and so just always be working into your budget that there need to be table coverings for any craft event so that we're not cleaning up a ton of paint or whatever it might be. No glitter or confetti ever. I'm so sorry to be the unfun person in saying that. I love glitter. I love confetti. It never comes out of the carpet in our event spaces or out of some of the chandeliers in Campion, which if you ever look up into some of the chandeliers, you still may see remaining flecks of confetti from events who did not follow that direction. So just a few common things that we see on a yearly basis. So make sure you're factoring those into your plans. Okay, so this gets to Hope's question from earlier. How in the world do you even start this process? So everything starts with the EMS web app. So this is the primary booking tool for all students, faculty, and staff on campus. This is where you will find all of the information about availability of our event spaces here on campus. So in order for your club to get access to EMS, we only designate the event coordinator from your clubs to be able to have that access. And that is so that we are able to keep track of on a yearly basis who needs to be in the system, and it's easier for us to track, okay, so and so has graduated, so and so is no longer a part of that club. So it is limited to just the event coordinator to ensure that we are able to have better tracking of who is and is not with a club any longer. So if you ever need to change who that person is for your club, if your event coordinator changes throughout the year, you can, reach out to Marisa. What is the process actually for changing the event coordinator if that needs to change throughout the year?
That's a great question. So they'll reach out directly to the Center for Student Involvement, either through the involvement email or to myself in this transition period. And then we will follow up with university events on updating access permissions for the club.
Great. So there you go. So yeah, so stay in contact if, that does need to change. Happy to get the contact changed within EMS as quickly as possible so that you can continue on with any event booking that you need. So I will say through the EMS web app too, we ask you, especially when you're requesting one of our major event spaces, we ask you a bunch of questions about your event. Some that are open-ended. Please be detailed in those areas too. If it is an open-ended question about, the purpose of your event, the more information you give us, the more we can guide you on, are you requesting an event space that is going to work well for your event? Because I know sometimes we will get requests too of like, okay, you're saying like you want to do this huge fair setup, but do you realize you've only booked the Stuart T. Rolfe community room here, which can probably only fit like 7 tables in it. So we're the more information you can give us up front, the more we can help advise from the beginning on if this is going to be a good space for you to use. So pay attention to those questions. We don't ask them to be a pain. We really want to be able to make sure you are in the best event space for your needs. So please be detailed. Feel free to reach out to us if you're looking at the EMS web app and you're like, I have no idea what event space I should be booking. Give us a call. Happy to help talk through options with you. And based on our expertise, what we've seen work well in the past, what we've seen not work well in the past. Sometimes, you might request an event space and you might get a bounce back email from our client services team that says, hey, we notice you've requested this space. Have you thought about using this instead? So, and they're again, just trying to help you have the best event possible. If you ever have any questions, yeah, we're here to help. And like I said before, classrooms and conference rooms have no booking deadline. So if you're ever looking to have just a much more relaxed event that doesn't need a whole ton of setup or anything, you are more than welcome to book those. They have no deadline to book them. They are just kind of open access as long as you don't need any special tech or any special setup. So couple of tips about the web app as well. So when you're in the web app here, clicking on the different rooms here will pop up this great window that'll give you some more details about the room, the different setup types that are most common, the features, and even some photos of the room. Not everyone knows to click on the event spaces on the side, but that will pop up all of this information for you. And just as a quick note, you will see a legal capacity on every room. Please ignore the legal capacity. Legal capacities are weird and they are based on if you have nothing in a space. This is how many people you could fit in it. So just sometimes I know we get questions about that of folks saying like, oh yes, well it said in a hollow square 16, but we planned for 24 because that was the legal capacity. Ignore the legal capacity. For now, we're hopefully maybe going to be getting rid of those off of the web app soon so that they're not confusing. But that is my pro tip for now. Okay, and lastly, so that we can get to any questions that you might have, I've compiled a whole list of resources for y'all with links to things, to commonly used resources from all of our websites, both the Center for Student Involvements and our own, including our new SharePoint site that we have set up for our university events team. So we've created this beautiful brand new SharePoint site that we are making into this really nice, robust event resource center for lots of questions that our folks have across campus and to help guide you in your event planning efforts. We are working on it still. We just launched it a couple of weeks ago, which is really exciting. And we'll be adding to that all the time. So that is the very top link here, but have just also included very commonly used links to various policies for event planning across campus. And lastly, when I say like, please reach out to us with any questions that you might have, here's our general information. I know it's available on the website, but truly, if you ever have any questions for us, give us a call, send us an email. We're in the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, happy to help. And, again, like, I'm Tara. If you are also hitting a wall and, you're not getting through or getting any, if you're having trouble getting your answers that you need, feel free to reach out to me as well. So I'm happy to direct you to the best person in our office. So we are all here to be your partner in this. But all right, any questions?
I have a question. Are you guys also available to help out, like, say, like poor organization on behalf of the club? Like, would you maybe be willing to like come into a club and be like, okay, this is the event that you guys are planning on, or you want to have an event that's like this. These are the steps that you need to take, and this is what we should look for. Because, like, for example, Pre-Law Society last year, they last minute wanted to throw this really big event. And I was like, guys, this isn't possible. We need to have like planning. We need to have, and so I just think we need a little bit of help and guidance. Are you guys that we can reach out to when it comes to like structuring or getting advice or like talking to the whole club? Because as you know, an event can't just be planned by the event coordinator or any one person in the club. It has to be a collaborative effort.
Totally. Yes, I love that idea. If you are already like, I would love someone from UE to get in front of our entire club, reach out to me. And we have, like I said, we've got a big team. I'm sure we could send someone to one of your club meetings, or if you're virtually, we can set up something virtual to just do a kind of something exactly like this, but to help it be more structured to what it is you need. So I'm very open to that.
Something to add to that, CSI is working with university events to create like a checklist of a timeline to give to clubs, so they have access to that. And CSI has already created like some best practices of like things to think about. Are you planning an inclusive program? So we'll put work on getting that together. Will we have it before this quarter is over? Maybe not. Will we have it for winter? Most likely. So as we work on that, we'll make sure to send that out to all of the event coordinators and to the president, so you have access to that, and post it on the CSI Connect SU page so that it's easily accessible to clubs on our club platform.
Absolutely. And along with that too, we're also working on developing a bit more of like a cheat sheet. I know the EMS web app, for those of you who have used it, you can find different event spaces on the web app, but you kind of have the 3 different areas you need to search in between major spaces, classrooms, and conference rooms. And sometimes it's hard to see the full scope of what's available. We're going to be working on a cheat sheet too. That's a more just condensed list of a comparison of all of our spaces so that you don't have to keep flipping back and forth between the different templates within the EMS web app. And I will say too, we just had an event planner summit for faculty and staff and asked them to, hey, what resources is it that you need from us? What would be really helpful? If y'all ever have any suggestions or things that could be helpful for y'all in your event planning efforts, reach out to me. Happy to hear your ideas, want to hear your ideas. We're working on making event planning easier for everyone on campus, and that comes with a lot more resources. So, and we get some of our best ideas from our campus community members. So, my door is open. My email inbox whatever. Any other questions? Cool.
If there aren't any other questions, I'm gonna stop the recording. And this will be uploaded on YouTube and sent out to all of the event coordinators that were unable to join us today.